I just
So it's funny you should ask.
uh-huh.
My answer to you is maybe you'll find out.
Oh
With that being
no.
Oh,
said, welcome everyone to season 2, episode 3, Out of Time, part 2. Joining me today are 5 super awesome role players that I've convinced to, well, role play with me. What we're going to do, as is tradition, we're going to go around the table. We're going to have everyone introduce themselves, their character, and then we're going to have a glorious opening log. Now, this week's episode will be a little different. We're actually going to have 2 opening logs, but they're going to happen not back to back. They're going to be happening. Really, there's like an A plot and a B plot, to use Symbol's own words, that we're going to be exploring together here. But we're going to open up with Ensign Zed after everyone introduces themselves. But please, Captain Treso, Sidereal Day, Charles Warren, Symbol, and Chewbacca, introduce yourselves, and we'll take it from there.
hello. I am Brian. I'm at Mind Over Brian on Twitter, on Twitch, and on Steam now. So if you want a game, let me know. But I play Captain Asbatreso, our Betazoid captain who has forsworn his gifts of telepathy.
Good evening, I'm Sidereal Day, and I play Commander Ajay Shahira, the Bajoran First Officer and Chief Medical Officer.
Hello, I'm Charles. I play Ensign Zed, our Ferengi Chief of Security and Operations Officer.
I am Symbol 24. I play Lieutenant Pires, the science officer of the Ragnar.
And I'm Drew. I play Lieutenant Commander Krev, the Tellarite Chief Engineer.
Of course, I am Der Wolf, the Game Master, the spinner of tales, the guy that spins tales. There you go. There, I said it. It's the most eloquent thing I've ever said in my life. All right, got a couple small smiles out of people. That's really all I want. That's just that you feed me with that. But when we last left off, our intrepid adventurers, a whole lot of shit had happened. We're going to open our first scene with, as we often do, an exterior shot of the Ragna. Not the Ragnar, but the Ragna. We see that the ship appears to be at either low impulse or just kind of holding its position. It is close to one of these communications buoys that one Ensign Zed, Valles, and Lieutenant Paris were attempting to connect to. As we get closer to the ship, we zoom in to the main view screen and we see Captain Zed discussing with some of his officers the prisoners, where they are. We also see that his first officer has arrived on the bridge and is having an awkward conversation with him about, wait, you told me to leave, you said, why are you here? Oh no, what's happening? But as we zoom down through the decks, we come to a small computer chamber, a room of sorts. As we phase through the walls into this room, we see one Ensign Zed, we see one Lieutenant Paris, and we see a very cold and very uncomfortable looking Velez. And the room itself, all of the computers appear to be shut down, and there is ice, literal ice, forming over everything. Every breath that these 3 take turns to ice crystals in front of them. But we hear one Ensign Zed giving a small personal log to his tricorder. Will anyone ever hear it? We're not sure. But please, Ensign Zed, take it away.
Personal log, Ensign Zed, StarDate unknown. This could be my last log entry ever. After discovering that the USS Ragnar had traveled to an alternate timeline 30 years into the past, Lieutenant Paris, Mr. Velez, and I traveled further into Federation Dominion space in the runabout Crockett on an information-finding mission. When we began downloading data from a communication buoy, we were confronted by the USS Ragna. And to my surprise, we discovered that the captain of the Ragna was this timeline's version of myself. In order to buy more time for the data download to complete, Mr. Velez transported us aboard the Ragna, where we have been barely avoiding capture by me posing as the Ragna's captain. But it appears our time has run out, as we find ourselves trapped in a room with our old Adnorian nemesis, Commander Dabab. He's done something to the environmental controls. The room is icing over. We can barely move. He's saying something about offering us a bargain, but I don't know if I'll stay conscious long enough to hear it. End log.
Absolutely brilliant. You may have one momentum. You may have one momentum for that brilliant log. As you end this log, and I imagine that you are literally talking into a tricorder or into your little communications device, like trying to, almost breathlessly, trying to give this, maybe this last will and testament of sorts. You hear this soft kind of crunching, like footsteps that are not quite hitting the ice. They're just kind of brushing over it. But as you look up, your eyes burning from how cold it is in this room, you look around, you see Paris shivering, you see Velez there just struggling to struggling to keep himself from, losing consciousness. He's having a rough time. But this blue Adnorian, still wearing engineering fatigues, he walks over and he leans down, reaching forward towards the tricorder. If you attempt to pull it away, you find that your hands and your arms have become almost frozen in place. You struggle, and as he reaches down, he takes the tricorder from your hand and picks it up as though looking at a rock or this maybe a beautiful piece of jewelry you'd seen at some sort of art fair or at a jewelry store. Maybe you're just on the beach and you find a beautiful shiny rock and he looks at it, kind of wonderment. Tell me, do you think anyone will listen? Do you think anyone would care?
What bargain?
So this...
Zed's teeth are chattering.
Yes.
Oh,
Bargain.
his pointed teeth.
Well, Ensign Zed, I would offer you life. I would offer you salvation. You need only commit yourself to a certain path.
What path? And Zed's speaking softly, hoping that he'll lean down closer to him so Zed can hear.
Oh yeah, he does.
And if he leans down, and Zed's gonna try and headbutt him in the head.
That's beautiful.
Oh, Zed!
I love it, Zed. Give me a fitness security, difficulty of 3.
Let's see. Fitness security. I don't think I have anything that would help here. Okay. Fitness. I'm not that fit.
While he's
Difficulty.
doing that,
One success.
As you go to...
Oh, is there
you
something?
go to headbutt him,
Mm-hmm.
you suddenly stop yourself. You almost connect. And standing before you, you see none other than your captain. Would you strike your captain, Ensign Zed? I saw so much promise in you. And yet here you are, freezing to death, aboard an enemy vessel, attempting to assault a superior officer. So disappointing. Ensign Zed, I need you to give me a presence and command, difficulty of 2.
GM,
Lieutenant
while that
Paris.
is happening, I would like to use my tricorder to contact the our ship to try and initiate a transport for all 3 of us.
So you mean your ship in the
Crockett.
Yeah,
the Crockett?
yeah, the Kraken.
All right. It's going to be a control science difficulty of 3.
Said we have momentum. You can use momentum.
What was the difficulty for my
3.
2.
Yours
Oh.
was the 3, Ensign Zed.
for presence? task?
No, that one is a 2. That one is a 2. Yep.
A 2?
Presence and
So how
command.
many momentum do we have?
2 so far.
2.
2. And you can
So
always
I-
give threat.
All right. Well, let me so if I spent those 2, would that give me just enough for 1 roll or
1 would give you
or
1
1 costs 1
extra.
and then 2.
And then
But
3 would give you an
3.
extra 2, so you'd have to do
So we
2
have
momentum
2.
and a threat.
2 momentum and a threat? Let's do it. I'm feeling dangerous today.
All right, I'm going to increase your complication range to a 19 to 20 with that threat you just gave me. Thank you.
So basically, do I just now roll those 2 more?
Yeah.
All right. Let's see.
You roll what? 40 20? Because
For anybody watching,
So,
this is
well, I did roll the presence task already. So maybe it's was it too late to
Oh,
do
if
that?
you want to roll the extra 2 dice, yeah, you might want to do that because that was
for anybody watching. This is us fudging this system pretty hard, but that's what's cool.
Well, whatever you think. Yes. So
No, do it. I just
Yes.
didn't want like anybody watching this as an actual play to be like, is this how the rules work? No, it does now. Not usual.
it's a role-playing system. It's more of guidelines than actual rules. All right, you fail.
Exactly.
Ensign
Yes.
Zed, you are, and I'm going to encourage you to roleplay this out. You are 100 and wholeheartedly convinced that this is your actual captain standing before you. He is reprimanding you. If your captain reprimanded you, how would you react?
Wow. So, Zed has the let me get there real quick. Zed has the value of eager to please, sometimes too eager.
Oh
He
no.
really wants to please Captain Treso. So this is crushing to him that he's being dressed down. And so I would imagine that he's on the verge of delirium, cold, and he would just start babbling about I'm sorry, Captain. I'm sorry. I tried my best.
And with that, I'd like to pivot over to Symbol, who
All right.
Lieutenant Paris wanted to make a check here.
Can I
So-
assist him?
Yeah.
Valles is going to set his phaser at the very lowest setting and fire it at the tricorder so that it is warm and not freezing cold, so it should work properly and not suffer from the environment.
So I have a question for you.
Sure.
I have a question for you. Why do we call them red shirts?
I don't know. No, I'm wearing a yellow shirt because that's what security wears.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
But why do we call them red shirts?
Yeah.
Because in the old series, that's what they wore. They wore red shirts.
Cool. So as he raises his phaser to fire it to warm the tricorder, you see the captain's hand shoot out. As he does so, the person before you once again seems to transform into a green-looking alien. And he says, "That's so rude!" And as he snaps his finger, the phaser in Vales's hand explodes, just
Oh,
sending
that's-
shards of energy and plasma and debris just right into his face, right into his hand. Now, the benefit is that the room is slightly warmed for a moment. So the same effect, Paris, you're actually going to get 1 minus on the difficulty of this check. That's the benefit. So it's kind of like, good and bad at the same time. But Velez is going to take 4 points of stress.
Woof.
And that was multiple effects. 1, 2, 3. So that was vicious, plus effect, plus effect. So that is actually 4, 5, 6, 7. 5, 6, 7. That's 7 points of stress. I think that might knock him unconscious. Unfortunately.
Yeah, if it does more than 5, he's injured and
Yeah,
down.
so he is, you just watch as the phaser explodes in his hand. Plasma fire wreathes up his face. You see burn marks, his pointy eyebrows, one of them gets burned off, and he just falls back with a kaplump. Same time, Lieutenant Paris, you may make your check. Now, this was going to be a difficulty 4. It's going to be reduced to a difficulty of 3.
You had said difficulty 3. I'm just
That's
gonna
what
put
I
that
meant. I meant difficulty 3 to difficulty 2. Forgive me.
out.
Just seeing if you were paying attention.
Yes.
Now, what I'm going to do, though, is I'm going to spend 2 threat to increase the difficulty back to a 3.
So because this just exploded in my face, I'm like, yeah, no, this is not just control. This is like I gotta do this as quick as possible with all the feeling and use my daring instead of control.
Love it.
I do have improvisation because now I'm flying more than anything by the seat of my pants on this.
Yeah.
But I will use my determination for the game on my create my own path because there's no way I'm staying stuck here.
Okay.
With that, I'm also going to give you 1 threat.
I'll spend it to increase your complication range from 19 to 20. Thank you, sir.
But because I have bold science, I can reroll any 1 failure.
I like it.
So science.
This is feeling intense already. We just started. Jeez. Oh boy.
Yes.
I don't want Velez to die.
Me neither.
So that's 5 successes, my friend.
Yeah, that is. You get 2
And,
momentum right back.
I will reroll that
That was a complication. You should.
that complication.
Yeah. Oh.
So that's 7 successes.
So you get 4 momentum.
Yeah. However, you are going to get an extra momentum because to get that 3rd dice, you would have needed to spend 2 threat, not just 1. Or sorry, you get 2 threat instead of just 1.
I'll take it.
Oh. Okay.
Because your first dice that you bought was with your determination. So
Yeah.
determination's your first dice.
Thank you.
Then
for
the
that.
additional dice
Okay.
is an extra. Yeah.
So
No.
as you tie your tricorder into the transporters of the Crockett, and you realize that with just a quick swipe you could energize, you see that there is a woman with black hair now standing where this green alien was, and she calls out to Paris with this almost siren-like kind of voice. It is almost intoxicating to hear it, Lieutenant Paris. And she says, "You wouldn't run from someone you love, would you?" And I want you to imagine, Lieutenant Paris, that this particular woman before you, if Paris has ever had a love, even a passing fancy with anyone, that feeling is intensified 100-fold. Now, the way that we're going to do this is I'm going to have you roll a daring, because I like daring, because I think Paris is feeling daring. You're going to roll a daring and command here. Now, this difficulty...
There's just one counterpoint I would like to make.
Yeah.
And this is for you, and maybe it's something that wasn't picked up or you don't remember.
Yeah.
But Lieutenant Paris is gay.
Oh.
He
Well.
has a crush on a certain green skinned nurse.
Okay.
So,
Okay. Well,
Just-
the good news is that there's a green-skinned man
there you go.
standing before you. And I want you to think back to any of the infatuations that Lieutenant Paris has had with men in his life. And he says, "You wouldn't leave someone you love, would you?" And
So-
now you're going to make a daring and command difficulty of 3.
Yeah, I'm gonna use 3 momentum because I want to flip the bird to this not the real one.
So convenient. It's almost like I have all these tokens saved that I can just flip to when I need them. Oh, nice.
Yeah, unfortunately nothing to focus on, so it's still 4 dice, but oh well.
Oof.
I hate you so much right now.
Lieutenant Paris, you are frozen for a moment, and you think you see your crush, a certain green-skinned nurse standing before you. And you know what? He's giving you eyes. Maybe you're giving him eyes. Your eyes are also kind of heavy because they're covered in frost. But his eyes, oh, they are open, they are bright, and they are talking to you. Woo! But he turns back to Ensign Zed, and Zed, you no longer see a green alien standing before you. Instead, you see one of your professors from the academy. You see a one-eyed, an eye-patched Klingon. And he leans forward and he says, Ensign Zed, you stupid Batak. Would you run from an opportunity for glory? What is wrong with you? Stand up! Stand up and take your place at the battle lines.
I think Zed has reverted to like some of the typical Ferengi gestures that we've seen on Deep Space Nine, where he's going,
Yeah.
kind of like that. Or whatever.
He's having a moment. He's having a moment.
Yeah. But I also just noticed, it might be too late for it to take effect, but Zed has a talent called I closed it again. A talent called Hear All, Trust Nothing, because of his lobes, which just an FYI, it increases the difficulty of deceiving him. I'll look it up to make sure. But
it's good.
If that comes up
That's
at a later time, just want to let you know.
So the way we're going to use that in this scene here, Ensign Zed, is I'm actually going to have you regain your faculties in this moment. You just have this moment of clarity. And in that moment of clarity, you still see the Klingon standing before you, but behind that Klingon, almost superimposed on that Klingon, you see a shadowy figure. It appears to be made of smoke. It appears to be just hovering before you, like a shadow, like a living shadow before you, for lack of a better phrase. And you can tell that this creature before you, it is not the Bob, it is not your professor of hand-to-hand combat from the academy, it is not the captain, it is not Lieutenant Paris's crush, it is not a black-haired Romulan woman, it is a being, a creature, something made of something not corporeal. It is an incorporeal creature, and you can see it for what it is. It speaks to you, but this time it doesn't speak in one of the voices you've heard. It is as though you are hearing yourself, but you're not hearing your own voice in your mind. Imagine, if you will, that you are hearing that dark, deep, horrible part of you that exists, that carnal, that savage kind of beast that lives below the surface of us all. You hear that from somewhere deep, deep in the back of your mind, and you can feel it as though it is trying to claw its way to the surface. Let me out.
And that voice is coming from the shadowy figure, or is it coming
from
within me?
inside your mind, but you know it is not you that is speaking. It is the shadowy creature that is speaking. And you get the feeling like it wants to connect with you.
Right.
Like it is looking for a host. And in this moment, I want to give you a chance to respond. As Lieutenant Paris is still giving this smoke monster googly eyes. Oh, yeah, you're just like, ooh.
Zed is going to, he's going to look over at Velez all like this. He's going to look over at Paris in trance. There's going to be a look of desperation, and he's going to, slowly get one leg up like he's stepping up, but he's reaching down and he's adjusting the setting on his phaser for like some kind of wide burst energy dispersal thing. And he's just going to try to dive forward thrusting the phaser directly into the shadow and firing this.
So he's just gonna go full Rambo on this. So as Ensign Zed struggles his way to his feet, Lieutenant Paris, you can see that Ensign Zed's about to dive towards the love of your life. Ensign Zed, you see the smoke, shadowy creature before you just kind of wavering and moving around. And with that, we fade away and we cut over to the Ragnar, where we see the Prometheus vessel flying around the Ragnar in its multi-vector attack. And we hear, well, Captain, let me ask you this. How do you sound in this moment? Do you sound frantic? Do you sound calm? How do you sound, Captain?
Well, I have to maintain a facade of placidness so that I don't panic the junior officers who are currently manning the bridge.
Mhm.
So I have a very measured tone.
And as we see the Ragnar, light damage, its shield's still active, but we see that there's multiple phaser beams that are lancing out towards the Ragnar, hitting the shields. You hear that telltale, but the Ragnar is holding its own in this moment. As we go down through once very similar to the view screen that we saw on the Ragna, we see the Captain. And Captain, please give us your opening log.
Captain's log started unknown. I only have a few moments to record this log as the Ragnar rushes to rescue a supposed sister ship trapped in some kind of temporal vortex. The science is half-baked at best, and I have reason to wish I had spent more time brushing up on my temporal mechanics, but the engineering is sound. We'll only have a few minutes to enact our plan and help rescue the Bodica once we arrive on site, as we've just left a hostile ship in our wake. Captain Cole, our hostile ship's captain, seems to have crewed an entire ship with photonic variants of herself, and I hope I can prevent this from turning into a full-on conflict. I would have counted the diversity of my crew as an advantage, but with my senior tactical and science officers off on some critical mission to help us return to our rightful universe, and my first officer suffering from some kind of mental stress or telepathic attack, I may have to rely more on my own instincts than I'd like. End log.
And as you end that recording, Captain Treso, we do a wide pan out where we see you on the bridge. We see several other officers, ensigns, lieutenants, manning their stations, doing their best to keep the Ragnar basically floating, basically keeping it going. And from the science station, Ensign Minerva, Mini Crusher, she says, Sir, I've got a better lock. I've got a better lock on that ship. It seems to be docking with Kronos Station, but it's still phasing in and out, sir. I can't get an exact location or exact reading.
All right, get us as close as you can get so we can fire that pulse. Bridge to engineering.
Crab here, Cap. What's up?
Are we ready for that pulse?
What did Scotty say back in the day? I'm giving it all she's got.
Well, we're gonna have one shot at this, and it's gonna have to be pretty much on my mark. So, be as ready as you can be.
I think Ragnar's ready.
And as you watch the Ragnar attempting to make its way towards where Kronos Station appears to be kind of phasing in and out of existence, we're actually going to go over to Commander Ajay. Commander Ajay, where are you heading off to? I believe you were heading down to medical. Is that correct?
I was told to, the captain was like, you're removed from duty, go to medical.
Okay.
Okay.
So as you make your way down the many hulls, the turbo lifts, and you get closer and closer to medical, that voice, that kind of frantic feeling that you are having begins to grow more and more intense, and you find yourself standing just outside of the sick bay. And as you go to touch the door, you hear from the other side. You hear a voice that you don't recognize. And he says, "You're gonna have to be more specific. There's like 5 commanders on the bridge." And he seems to be having a conversation. You hear another voice say, "Oh, you're right. You're right. That's actually correct. It's the commander, the first officer." And he says, "Oh, old Strokey? Oh, yeah, all right. I'll be up in a second." And as you perhaps reach towards the door to open it, the door opens and you see your medical bay. Nothing out of the ordinary, but you're certain that you heard someone, a voice you did not recognize from just beyond the door. What do you do?
Do I see anyone in the room before me?
No.
Okay.
The medical bay is decidedly empty.
So I heard the voice coming from just inside the door. Did it sound like it was
where your office
from
is.
the office?
Yeah.
Then I will very carefully approach my office.
As
kind
you
of
get
look around.
to your office, sort of like imagine you look to the left and you look to the right, and as you look back towards the center, you had looked where that chair was. There was no one sitting there, Commander Ajay.
Mm-hmm.
But there is someone sitting there. At first, it appears to be a black and kind of shadowy looking, well, incorporeal form. But as you look closer, you see a man sitting there, and he looks like maybe an engineer. He looks like a commanding officer. He's wearing command pips. And he looks up to you and he says, "Commander Ajay, I have a bargain for you, if you're open to it."
What are you doing in my medical bay?
Many are about to die because of the actions not only of your captain, but of some of your crew. I would seek to prevent that from happening. I attempted to reason with the away team, but they were, that is to say, less than amiable. You, though, Commander Ajay, you have always been someone I felt I could confide in. And with the felt I could confide in, you recognize that voice. This is to Bob, but not to Bob.
You've changed faces, Commander.
I wear many faces, Commander. I figured this one might suit you better. And imagine, if you will, Commander Ajay, someone from your past, perhaps a captain that you knew at one point, perhaps just someone very important. It could be from your time at the academy, a different posting, whatever it may be, but someone that was very important, perhaps someone that was a mentor to you. And this is exactly who he begins to look like in this moment. Does this suit you better, Commander Ajay?
No. No, it does not.
He flips between a couple of different versions of himself, eventually settling back to his classic blue Adnorian with the deep, deep dark blue and the gashes all over his skin look and appearance. An oldie but a goodie, Commander Ajay. I would offer you a bargain. your ship, the lives of those aboard it, for a simple commitment to the cause.
That smoke form you were in when I first came in, that's your real form?
He smiles. It is a
Like
devil's
the-
smile.
Like the one I met in the box.
That grin, like you've surprised him in this moment, Commander Ajay. You have maybe even caught him a little off guard, which for a supposed being of such power that he appears to be is maybe a little telling, Commander Ajay. He says, as I said, Commander Ajay, I hold many forms. Such is the way of my existence. What you saw is simply the original, but not my favorite.
You haven't said what you want.
You haven't agreed to hear me out.
Do you see me reaching for my comm badge?
What comm badge, Commander Ajay? And you realize, in this moment, you have no comm badge, you have no phaser, you have no tricorder. In fact, you are wearing civilian's clothes. You are wearing the clothes your mother wore when she perhaps came to your graduation, or perhaps there was a wedding or a funeral, or just average clothes. And he says, I prefer to discuss business when we're both sitting. And he motions to the chair across from him.
Okay. She's not gonna sit, but I'll move over to stand in front of the desk.
He places his two hands on the desk and kind of slides them apart as though brushing off non-existent dust. Commander Ajay, what I require is simple. I require you and your ship to destroy Kronos Station. Once completed, I will ensure that you, your crew, your ship, every soul aboard is returned to where you belong.
Kronos Station. Everything seems to keep coming back there. um,
Remember when we were gonna space him? Real shame we didn't.
yeah.
Lieutenant Commander Krev is just like
Oh.
spinning in a Jeffries tube. Just fuck this shit.
There are people on Kronos Station. You're asking me to trade my crew's lives for theirs.
I am asking you to do what is best for those you care about, Commander Ajay. Those aboard Chronos Station are simple fanatics, simple mad men and women. Mad with what they believe to be a savior, what they believe to be a bringer of light. She has lied to them, and I would see them released from that burden.
I think that the people I care about who are on this ship would prefer that I not trade other people's lives for theirs.
They need not know the decision you made, Commander Ajay.
I would know.
And you are strong enough to carry that burden, are you not?
If I thought it was necessary, I would. But pa-wraiths lie.
And that humanoid expression, that kind of surprise you saw, you see this veneer, this facade that he has start to break again, and you start to see anger. You start to see frustration. Why is it that mortals always make everything so difficult? One life for another. What does a small fraction of time mean to anything? To the universe as a whole? I will see that you all suffer. And he seems to kind of shimmer, kind of fade. You feel a tap on your shoulder, Commander Ajay. And that tap becomes a shake, and a green, good-looking alien standing behind you. Yeah. And he says, Commander Ajay, are you all right? You've been standing there, like, mumbling to yourself. Is everything okay?
Nurse Hagen, are you the senior officer in the medical bay other than myself right now?
Yes, ma'am.
Well then, congratulations. As of right now, you're chief medical officer since I am currently relieved of duty.
I'm sorry, what? And with that, we're going to pivot back to the bridge, where we see the captain still maneuvering the vessel towards, with his command crew, as it were, up top. We see him maneuvering. We see the Prometheus beaving, bobbing, zipping, and diving back and forth. And once again, from the communication station, you hear Enna. You hear Enna say, Captain, we're getting a hail from the Prometheus. They're trying to hail us. Should I bring it up, sir?
Throw it on screen.
And as she throws it on screen, once again, you see the bridge of the Prometheus looking pretty put together. It's kind of like maybe this Prometheus is from the future and its weapons are a little bit better, so it's a whole thing. But you see the captain, the red-headed captain, once again, standing now in front of her captain's chair, and she says, Tell me, Captain, are you more open to discussion now, or shall I continue to tear your ship apart?
There is a Starfleet vessel in danger, literally kilometers away. And if you are even remotely worthy of wearing that uniform you're currently sporting, then I suggest we work together, and then I'll be happy to listen to whatever you want to talk about afterwards.
If you attempt to tear them from that temporal rift, you not only risk destroying the station, them, but the entire universe. Stand down, Captain Treso.
Well, you'll be happy to know that my intention is not to tear them from the vortex, but to push them closer to its center so they may return to wherever they came from. Captain, you stand down.
She closes her eyes. Every time, Captain Treso. I had hoped that this would be different. So be it. Jan's communication. But Captain Treso, I'd like to give you some time to, well, command your crew to do as you see fit. What would you like them to do?
Crusher, Moran, review our findings. Tell me whether or not what anything she just said holds any any water. Bridge engineering.
Yeah, Cap.
Go over those numbers again. Captain Cole, as she is sporting at the moment, seems to indicate that there's grander implications, and I want to know what she's talking about. Get back to me when you're ready. Bridge out. Tactical.
Aye, sir.
Give me evasive maneuver Alpha 7, but science. Give me a probe with a full holographic suite. In fact, give me 2 of them. Fire a couple of probes out in random directions. Let's see if we can get the match of the Prometheus's multi-vector assault with our multi-vector escape pattern.
I love it. I love it. So we watch as the captain is having like 8 conversations at once. All of the crew is humming. Lieutenant Commander Krev, you are down in engineering, and the swirling purple and blue, well, your Jormungandr, as it were, your dragon friend, as it were. He is, well, he's having a time. He really is. He's having a time. And the closer and closer you get to the Chronos station, the more and more agitated the warp core, this dragon, seems to become. And its power output is increasing, but it's getting to a point of being almost dangerous, to where you're at 100, 110, 15, 20, 150. You've had a couple of power relays blow out just because there's too much power being pumped into them. Something's off. Something's wrong. You're not sure what it is.
Krev is going to... Krev is going to do what he's been doing with it, which is treat it like work on it as if it's, a part of his engines, but talk to it like it's his friend or his pet. And just try and figure out what it's trying to tell him.
Okay.
Sort of.
I'm going to have you give a presence or daring, your choice, engineering, difficulty of 3.
We do have 1 momentum, by the way. So
Yeah, and I will spend that.
Come on, Commander Ashi. All you have to do is sacrifice a whole species of people, and you can save your crew. It's totally fair. It's a great bargain.
Can I use? I know my ship. Whenever I attempt a task to determine the
100%.
source of a technical problem. Okay. So I guess I'm gonna have to give you 1 threat to get the 4th die.
I'll pocket that
Then-
for later.
Okay. I'm sure you will.
2 threat.
I took
2
it. I
threat.
took the 2 threat. Don't worry.
Okay, sorry.
I know what I'm all about.
Daring, engineering, submit, 4, submit, and I think my warp drive improvisation focuses would work with
100%.
this.
100%. Oh, mama. That is a complication. That is 5 successes. You get 2 momentum. I'm just going to pocket that complication as threat for myself for later. And you determine, Lieutenant Commander Krev, that some outside force, imagine, if you will, that the Ragnar is like a fish swimming through the sea. And you ever see those like lampreys that kind of latch onto it? It's like there are these, like something is trailing and latched onto the Ragnar. Sensors aren't picking it up. You know it's there though, because you can see where additional power is being pumped into directly into the warp core. It's as though something, whatever these things are trying to... Oh god, that can't be right. Someone's trying to turn the Ragnar into a bomb. And not just a little bomb, but a big bomb. A bomb that might be big enough to, I don't know, take out a humongous space station. And Jormungandr, he's not happy about it.
So I would like to attempt, and I want to get Bronson in on this. And like as he's like figuring it out, he's kind of talking to the engines, talking to Bronson. You know, here's my idea. It looks like, you know, there's some sort of like something trying to turn the Ragnar into a bomb.
Sir, I've rerouted as much power as I can to the phasers. They're literally about to blow. I can put more power into the shields, but at this point, I mean, they're already almost down. I don't know what to do, sir. The ship's gonna fly.
I think if we try to recalibrate the primary tachyon field, maybe change the coupling, we might be able to vent some of this energy back into these lampreys or whatever they seem to be.
Wait, lampreys, sir? And here's how I'm going to describe it to you. You did a quick scan of the exterior, and you don't pick up any actual creatures, but what you pick up is the outlines of that energy input, and they, as I commented to you, look like lampreys. So here's what I'm hearing from you. I want to make sure I'm getting this right, Lieutenant Commander Krev. You would like to vent this energy, perhaps as plasma, and you'd like to center where it's being vented, where these energy sources are. Almost like burning them off with like steam vents. That is so cool. And I love where your mind's at. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to go ahead and have you roll for that. And the difficulty on this... Go ahead, please.
Okay,
Please,
go ahead and finish.
Difficulty on this is going to be a 3. With a complication range, if it goes poorly, of 19 to 20.
He sets it up, and right before he hits the like initiate button, he kind of stops, looks over at Bronson, hits his communicator. Krev to bridge.
What you got for me, Krev?
You trust me, right, Cap?
It's a weird question right now, but yes.
Okay. I hope this goes well. Beep.
And Andrea Bronson is going to assist you with this check with a control and engineering. She does have a focus because she has power systems. Bronson doesn't help, but Lieutenant Commander Krev.
What about the ship?
The ship can help too. Absolutely.
I presume something engineering?
The ship is going to roll engines and engineering, which is actually 2 of its highest stats, which is pretty great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I upped the engineering with one of my
Boom, Ragnar
points.
for the clutch.
Boom.
You only need 2 successes.
So I'm gonna use I know my ship because I know my ship. And then I'm gonna use it. It takes 3 to get the 4th die, right?
Correct.
I'm gonna give you a threat, and I'm gonna burn those 2.
I have so much threat.
Yeah, I know. And you said this is.
You don't want to know how much I'm sitting on right now. It's so much.
This is control and engineering, right?
Or daring, your choice.
Control's better for me.
Let's go.
4d20.
I'm so excited.
And I'm assuming I can use my improvisation focus for this.
Oh, there it is. And you get 1 momentum back. Let's go. No complications. No complications. So, cut to an exterior shot. Lieutenant Commander Krev, you come up to Traso. Traso says, I think so. And then you're like, all right. And then you and Bronson together, boop. There are these vents as we cut to the exterior shot of the Ragnar that open up. And you see this plasma start to vent out all across the hull. The actual nacelles start to shoot plasma, almost like flamethrowers out. And it turns the Ragnar into like Burning Man kind of thing. It looks sweet. It's like a beautiful fireworks show. Simultaneously, you watch as these smoky, you guessed it, shadowy lamprey-like creatures, about half a dozen of them, get expelled from the Ragnar, and as they fly into space, two of them strike the main section of the Prometheus and knock it out of the sky. You see kind of explosions, lights, fire, and it starts to tumble away, the other two sections moving in an attempt to assist. So in one fell swoop, Lieutenant Commander Krev has not only restored normal power, prevented the Ragnar from being a bomb, but also knocked out the ship that was harassing them. And looking ahead, Captain Traso, out the view screen, you see the shimmering kind of outline of Chronos Station beckoning you to approach and attempt to assist. But with that in mind...
All right, Cap, I think we're good to go.
With
What did I
that
just watch?
in mind, we're actually going to take a quick 5 to 10 minute break. So stick around for part 2 of episode 3. We're going to pick back up here shortly. But stick around and we'll be right back. See you soon. one. All right, we didn't use the full 9 minutes, but everyone has had a moment to breathe because tragedy was averted. The Ragnar did not turn into a literal bomb and explode, which is good. But as we break from commercial and come back to our intrepid away team, we see Ensign Zed standing up and lunging towards the shadowy smoke monster, a wide beam from his phaser, the phaser starting to spark and crack, and even the front's like melting. You've got it set to like 200%. You're just going all in. And as you lunge through, you fall straight through where the creature was. Your phaser goes off, scorching the ground, melting away the ice, and in an instant, you can feel the temperature in the room beginning to increase. Lieutenant Paris, you are no longer entranced by this beautiful, just gorgeous green-skinned young man. And you have a tricorder that's locked on to the ship.
Swipe.
Swipe! You swipe right on transport, skedongle. And
Skedongle.
all three of the away team are transported to the Crockett. The two of you are transported to your chairs, where you can take control of the ship and try to get the fuck out of there. And the injured Velez is transported to the small medical room aboard the Crockett.
Mm-hmm.
But you're now all aboard the Crockett.
Right.
What would you like to do?
I will verify that we're still connected with that comlink from before.
You actually verify that you actually continued downloading information while you were away, and you have the full information of everything downloaded.
Are we still connected, though? That is my question.
Absolutely.
All right. Then time to set every system on the ship to diagnostic mode.
Oh my god, you're a monster.
Like,
You know
I
what?
can explode it before.
You
Let's
know what?
try to-
Give me that one momentum, because I'm feeling just real magnanimous right now. Is that a word? Is that the right word? I'm feeling positive. I'm feeling nice. I'm feeling
Zed
generous
is looking
even.
frantically over the console and he's saying,
Well, override the locking door.
What are you doing?
Override that shuttle bay door so we can get out, and I'm gonna lock everything down, and then we're gonna get the hell out of Dodge.
I love it.
Yes, of course.
And as you lock everything down, you can hear chatter over the comms of, what the hell, who put everything into diagnostic mode? I'm locked out, I can't do anything. 6.5 days of diagnostics? What the hell? That's not even standard Dominion Federation procedure. People are losing their minds. And we watch as the Crockett just elegantly zips out away from the Ragna. On the bridge of the Ragnar, you see Captain Zed raising his fists high, going, "No!" But you all have escaped. Where would you like to head off to?
The predetermined coordinates for the rendezvous.
Excellent. So as Ensign Zed and Lieutenant Paris, you make your way out and begin to head back towards the Shackleton Expanse. You get closer and closer, and the sensors start to pick up some strange readings. Now, the Shackleton Expanse is normally just this large nebula of this orange gaseous cloud. There's not storms, there's not electricity, there's not like any sort of like strange, I guess, weather patterns, space weather patterns. But your sensors are starting to pick up some, you guessed it, strange space weather patterns, as though there is a storm of some sort in front of you. You watch as you pivot away from the storm, and it seems to follow you. It is as though you are being hunted by this massive storm in front of you.
You had to shoot at the bomb. You had to shoot at the bomb.
It was some sort of mental thing. It was trying to to unleash primal emotions,
Yeah,
desires.
I know.
Yeah, he does.
I thought that if I could distract it for a moment, we could escape.
Well, thank you.
I don't know
But
what.
did you have to shoot at the bomb?
Well, for a second, I thought about biting him. My teeth are rather sharp.
I have heard you crunch, yes.
But back to the matter at hand. These clouds seem to be following us.
Yeah,
Have
that I put my hand in fire. That's him. Oh yeah, he's not happy with us.
And at the
That is-
mention of he's not happy at us, there is a bolt of, yes, today's phrases, you guessed it, black lightning that lances out from the storm and strikes the Crockett. I've been hoarding it. 1, 2, 3, 4, wait for it, 5 threat. All of your ship's systems go dark. The panels explode, the engine shuts down, and you find yourselves thrown from your seats. You each take 2 points of stress damage. Velez, luckily, is strapped down and simply jostles back and forth, still unconscious in this moment. But you find yourselves adrift in space. That primal voice, Ensign Zed, wells up. Survival of the fittest. What would you guys like to do?
How is he doing this? What is he?
I don't know, but he's powerful. As I scrounge the ship for an emergency beacon.
Find
It's,
one.
standard issue.
It's the only thing aboard that hasn't been fried.
And emergency beacon, Ragnar, send help. The Bob is going to kill us.
Oh boy.
There you go. That should make sense.
Yeah, I don't pick up what we're putting down right there.
Yeah.
All right, I look at that. And as the two of you look around, the ship is floating in space, basically a derelict. We cut.
Will.
Go ahead, Zed, please.
Oh, just let Zed's going to run back to Velez. Who knows what kind of medical equipment is failing, and he's going to do his best to keep him stable.
You're a good man. You're a good Ferengi dude. That's what I'm talking about. Good Ferengi dude. We got Paris over at his little console setting up the beacon, and we see them just kind of floating. Luckily, you're inside the Shackleton, so you're shielded. You did make it to the Shackleton, which is good. But we're going to pivot back over to our intrepid Ragnar crew. I'd like to pick back up with the captain. Captain, the ship is moments away from getting close to Kronos Station, but the station itself continues to phase in and out of existence. It continues to phase. From your left-hand side, you hear Minerva, and you hear the Enya, the Cation science officers discussing with one another their findings. And finally, this is going to be Minerva looks up, and she says, Captain, it's a long shot. I mean, I studied temporal mechanics, but it wasn't my major or my focus, but here's the thing. I think I've figured out a way to use the deflector array to shove them back to where they belong. But I think if we do that, it's going to trap us here. Because the only way to get back, at least that I can tell, is through Kronos Station. But if we cross the threshold, it would throw some sort of maybe imbalance, and Sir, I don't know what we should do.
Well, there's always another way to get to another dimension if reading Kirk's logs has taught me anything. So go ahead. You go ahead and you go ahead.
All of the ways.
And set that. Sorry. You go ahead and set up that burst with the deflector. British engineering.
Yeah, Cap.
The hell, man.
There were energy lampreys eating and feeding extra energy into Jormungandr, and we were about to explode, so I vented the tachyon pulse back into them, and they exploded. Didn't have time to explain, but you know, I asked.
Cool. Speaking of not having time to explain, you trust me, right?
Implicitly, I taught you everything I know.
Cool. All right, Minnie, she's all yours.
I taught him well.
And my friends, I warned you this might not be the longest session we've had, but we've come to a very important moment in the story, not only of the Ragnar of Star Trek Valhalla, but also of Star Trek Magmel. I'm going to strong foreshadow to you all that not this weekend, but the following weekend, we are going to have the first ever crossover of these two shows. And some of you will be playing yourselves, but aboard a different ship for one episode. Perhaps your last episode ever as that character. Dun dun dun. Simultaneously, for any of the Magmel crew watching this, you will also have an opportunity to play potentially one of yourselves aboard a different ship. Perhaps for the last time. Perhaps. But we watch as the Ragnar gets closer and closer to the shimmering outline that is the Kronos station. There is this massive blue kind of beam or pulse that begins to swell and whirl up in front of the deflector array. Jormungandr, the warp core of the Ragnar, is not agitated, but seems excited. As a beam shoots out from the Ragnar, you see the power in the engineering room, Lieutenant Commander Krev, start to grow and grow and grow and grow, and then all at once you watch it start to diminish, as though Jormungandr is throwing everything that he can into this pulse, this energy beam of sorts. It strikes an invisible threshold. It looks as though this blue beam is kind of pushing into like a thick, like clear glue, and it's just like pushing it away as though it's trying to break through this barrier. We watch as this barrier begins to kind of shimmer and crack, and just on the other side, you guys can see as it starts to crack and it starts to clear, and you can just start to make out Kronos Station. You see sailing, that is to say, flying into one of the large docking bays. You see a Steamrunner class vessel that the ship identifies as one USS Boudica. The ship appears to be landing. Alarm bells start to go off. Minerva shouts, "Sir! Sir, the beam is destabilizing!" You attempt to jump around. You attempt to help in any way you can. Lieutenant Commander Krev, you're down at engineering. You're attempting to give it more power. It is out of the corner of your eye, Captain Treso. All of the ship's power is pumping into this beam. You see the reformed Prometheus make its way at maximum speed right to where you are starting to break through that hole, break through that barrier. As the ship breaks through that barrier in front of you, you watch as it pivots on its axis, and you see a full spread of photon torpedoes launch out towards the beam. There is an explosion that it is almost as intense as that first episode where we saw that massive explosion of a star going nova. where you found that singularity. It is massive. However, as the waves strike the Ragnar, it seems to just kind of wash over you. But you watch as the image of Chronos Station starts to waver and fade. And as it wavers and fades, you see this massive kind of rift in space start to form where the energy beam from your deflector was hitting the barrier of Chronos Station. The station, the Boudica, they all seem to vanish from your sensors. At the same time, though, you watch as different members of your crew start to vanish as well. Consoles disappear, then reappear. A crew member is replaced with someone else. There's a Ferengi, then there's a Vulcan, then there's a Klingon, then there's a Romulan, and everything starts to feel like literally yourselves are being torn apart. But as you watch in front of you, you see what you can only describe as a wormhole begin to form. As the ship begins to lose power and systems start to shut down, the last thing you see as all of you start to lose consciousness. Yes, I'm going to do that. It's that intense.
Oh.
The last thing you see is a rift in space, and through it, what looks to be the Milky Way galaxy. And that, my friends, is where we are going to end Session 3 of Star Trek Valhalla, Out of Time. Well done, everyone. Well done.
Every once in a while, you flip us to a map where it's just the Ragnar exploding, and I'm like, wait, what?
Why
do you have that?
I've got a map prepared.
You know, just in case, right?
Why do you
just
have
in
this?
case?
I like to do that.
I've got a
What
map.
it is that's my spaceship sheet 1. That I sometimes accidentally flip to because it's right below the main reset page. But absolutely fantastic episode, everyone. I had a riot. I hope you all did as well. And yeah, so during the Magmel episode this weekend, some things are going to happen.
I mean, I hope so.
And I will be setting up a private channel between the two crews that we will discuss who is going to be available for a crossover. Because as I foreshadowed, different people were disappearing and reappearing. And there's going to be... I've been trying to build towards a connection between these two crews. Now, obviously, Ragnar's been running for a little bit longer. Magmel's going to be on episode 5. But I've been trying to build towards a connection between these two crews, at least for this arc of the story. And these two crews are going to have an opportunity to, well, prevent a great catastrophe from happening. Which we'll find out a little bit more about this upcoming Sunday on Magmel. You'll find a little bit more about that impending doom. So if you're interested to see how these stories will intertwine, I encourage you to tune in at 7 p.m. Eastern for Magmel, and then also tune in at this upcoming Tuesday for episode 4 of Star Trek Valhalla, where we're hopefully going to have some guest stars. We're hopefully going to have some guest stars for that episode, which I'm very excited about. But as I always say at the end of every episode, any final thoughts, questions, comments, or concerns from the crew before we wrap up today's episode?
I'm just glad Velez didn't die.
Me too.
I mean, not yet.
Me too.
Not yet.
But
I mean,
soon.
We'll have to see if Chief Medical Officer Hagen can save him.
When you were asking, do you know why they call them red shirts? I was getting very nervous.
Ooh.
I was determined not to tell him the reason we got.
Yeah.
No.
Actually, the reason. Thank you, Symbol. Actually, I'd hate to be that guy.
I hate to be that guy.
That's hilarious, by the way. But as I always say, thank you so much to the players for playing. Thank you to the viewers for viewing. Happy gaming, everybody. Thank you, as always, for tuning in. And we will see you next time for the next episode of Star Trek Valhalla. And I hope to see some of you on Sunday as well for episode 5 of Star Trek Magmel. Until then, be well, be safe, and again, happy gaming. Good night.